Hey everyone, welcome back to OCD Recovery's YouTube channel, where today I'm going to talk about the importance of not diagnosing yourself. We have a huge problem with this in the mental health community. It's causing a rise in numerous issues with providers, whether it's a medical doctor, whether it's a psychiatrist, a psychologist, whether it's a coach, whether it's a family member. It's a big problem, whether it's the social settings, getting into the victim mentality. And this isn't to discredit the stuff you're going through. Take it from me, someone who had very severe chronic OCD, was in the mental hospital, ruled my life for quite a long time. And even before that, I had severe mild OCD for 15 years and took away so much of my life without me even knowing it. And my perfectionistic tendencies. And then with the ADHD stuff, which I always tell people, I would never think for 1 second about ADHD or explain it if I didn't do this. There is no need and no point. So before I go any further, please subscribe, hit that like button down below. Please reach out if you are suffering. Please do not sit in silence. We can help you at phil@ocdrecovery.com. Okay. There's really no easy way to say this. There are many people that say they have autism who do not have autism. There are many people who say they have ADHD who do not have ADHD. There are many people who say they have BPD, borderline personality disorder, which is a very tricky thing to talk about because it's one of those newer ones that you could just prove your way into having it with anything. There are a lot of people that say they have OCD that they don't, which is fine. All these things are good and fun. But the reality is a lot more people are attaching themselves to these disorders and they don't actually have them. And even if you do have them, saying that you have them doesn't do you any good. Makes no sense. Wearing OCD warrior shoes makes no sense whatsoever. It's a mental health disorder. It doesn't make any sense. It's just part of what you have to deal with. What matters is your belief system and the behaviors that may come harder to you to implement into your life when you're dealing with so-and-so. Okay, so do you ever need an ADHD diagnosis? Now, this is coming from King ADHD. No. I was 12 years old when I went and got my ADHD diagnosis. It hasn't done anything for me. You know, I was on Concerta for years. I'm sure it helped. I can't remember. It was like 20 years ago. And I've just had to accept and work around that for myself. Nothing else to it. OCD is a little bit different because there's such a severity of how it suffers. It's very hard to get better by yourself without understanding it. It's almost impossible to get better by yourself because there's many people who have tried and they're still struggling. They come in, they have read all the books, etc. And, and they're like, I'm still struggling. I don't know what's going on. They need a bird's eye view from someone who's been there. Autism is a tough one. It's a tough one. I have my own beliefs about this. I have a couple friends of mine who have kids that are autistic. We have now what's called the ASD, the Autism Spectrum Disorder, which of course anyone can say that they're on the spectrum. I hear people every single day they get triggered by something and they go, maybe I am on the spectrum. Remember, OCD is the master mimicker. And whether you're on the spectrum or not, you still have to accept what you have to deal with in your life. So your belief systems to your intelligence level will matter more than anything, and your belief systems around it. That's just the truth. The other thing that's very sneaky about autism is that for the majority of human existence, my friend's son is very autistic and very much on the spectrum. I think he's 11. Yeah, he's 11, and he basically has the mind of a 6th grader. Now, I know, again, there's a spectrum, ASD. He has never once been like, I have autism, I have autism, I have autism, I have autism. He doesn't walk around with a shirt that says, I have autism. He just deals with, the behavioral therapy stuff that he has to go through. Now, that's an extreme form, but that's what we classified as autistic for the majority of society. But we've now lengthened that spectrum to where everyone is on the spectrum. And it's a big, big, big fucking problem because it's also probably not real. And when you say that to people, this is just common sense. When you say it to people, they get really offended. This is the reason why I don't talk about this topic that much. It's a super hard topic to talk about because everyone gets up in arms about it, right? And that's a belief system problem. That's a belief system problem. If you make fun of me for having OCD, I was playing golf at Top Golf a week ago with my buddy, and he was a good friend of mine, been on vacation with me, knows my whole story. And he says something like, oh yeah, well I can just imagine, like, I know how your mind works. Of course I could easily be like, This guy has no fucking clue what he's talking about. But I was like, yeah, for sure. No effect on me whatsoever. So if you believe you're on the spectrum, you still have to adapt to your own life. And you have belief systems and behaviors that you can work on. And whether I disagree with you or other people disagree with you, the only reason you get offended by that is because of yourself. Because of your belief systems about being offended. Being offended is an internal job. That's your fault. Just like it was my fault. People, this is really hard to talk. This is not easy because the world has gotten so caught up in you offend me. No, you offend yourself. If you change it to I offend myself, yes, certain things may frustrate me. They might make me feel angry. But this offensiveness of like, you need to change because you offend me, that is absolutely 100% nonsense. It's nonsense. And it doesn't move society forward in a good way. Look around you. We have a big problem with this stuff. Everyone wants to being a winner, everyone stuff like that. We don't really talk about this topic a lot because it's a hard topic to talk about. I have to keep reiterating that because there's already people 6 minutes into this video who are very upset with me. And that's a good thing because you got to hear it. That's right. It's like nowadays, Rob and I were talking about that. Like, if you're disciplined, it's viewed as like putting others down who aren't. It's weird, right? So, and this all goes into the diagnostic criteria of why people have mental health disorders and certain things. And it's not a good thing. Just because you're sad and having a down day does not mean you have depression. It doesn't mean you might not have depression, but it just doesn't mean you have depression. Just because you can't concentrate doesn't mean you have ADHD. You know, because I say this to people all the time, and I get it. There's people out there that have diagnostic criteria of different types of ADHD. Again, widening the spectrum. Again, primarily a problem. Good for inclusion in certain ways, but primarily problematic. Because now everyone has a different form of ADHD. Soon everyone's going to have a problem. And we're already on that path. So people say to me, I can't concentrate, I have ADHD. I said, have you met me? I'm pretty fucking disciplined, dude. And I'm pretty concentrating. It's harder for me to concentrate than most people. I have to be aware of it. I just watched 3 series on an economic thing I like to watch because I had a couple people cancel. And I was like, hey, you're not going to touch your phone for these hour and a half. Take a break and watch it. And I felt the urge to check, but I still did it because I had to train that like a skill. But just because you can't concentrate and just because you can't sit still does not mean you have ADHD, okay? You could have ADHD, but even if you do have ADHD, there's only a couple things you could do. Get medication from your provider. Always speak to your doctor. Work on your skills, okay, and what you can work around, and work on your belief systems about having ADHD and work with what you got. That's all you can do. The same thing is for the autism spectrum disorder. The amount of people that say, you know, I'm awkward in social situations, I'm probably on the spectrum. I'm like, social anxiety is the largest fear over death. It's the number one fear. That means everyone has ASD. It's not that simple. We're not saying that you don't have these things. There's a good chance you probably don't have these things. Say 70-30 arbitrarily, maybe 80-20. But even if you are in that list of people that have that, there's still only a couple things you could do. Work with what you got. Change your belief systems, work on the behaviors, and potentially take medication. And accept that with your life and what it is. And that's it. And that is it, my friends. That is an important thing to think about. Really think about this topic. Phil@OCDrecovery.com if you are struggling with the fear of having something, because this is where OCD goes in. What if I have bipolar? What if I have schizophrenia? What if I have autism? And by the way, statistically speaking, my favorite thing to say, what are the statistical probabilities of you having OCD, ADHD, autism, and borderline personality disorder? It's very low. It's very low, statistically speaking. I'm going to get that on a shirt. Nick Piniella, OCD Recovery, statistically speaking. It's just not that common. It's something to think about. Thank you again, Phil@OCDrecovery.com. Please let me know what you think. Hope to hear from you soon. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day.